Welcome to the Investors Chair podcast with Ivan Sambo. Explore investing, saving, and budgeting in South Africa. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to an exciting episode of the Investors Chair podcast with myself, Ivan Sambo. Today's conversation is if you gave me 1,000 Rand per month and say, Ivan, invest this 1,000 Rand per month, how will I invest it? I want to make this episode just to hit home the point of how diversification is so important when it comes to investments. So the way I'm going to invest this 1,000 Rand per month in the JSE is using in the core the idea of diversifying my portfolio to protect myself from risk. By the way, guys, do remember nothing I say constitutes as financial advice. Is only for educational purposes. So let's talk about how I will invest 1,000 Rand per month, right? I have, I think if, for example, you give me that 1,000 Rand per month, say, Ivan, go invest it into the Johannesburg stock market. I already have ways in which I think I can best invest it. The first, and this way is for me, is to divide that 1,000 Rand into 5 ways. How do I mean 5 ways? I would divide it into 400 Rand, 250 Rand, 200 Rand, 100 Rand, and 50 Rand. Buying 5 different assets for each of those value, right? What do I mean? Let's say, for example, you give me that 1,000 Rand, right? I'll take 400 Rand of it. I will invest it into broad market ETF. What is broad market ETF? These are ETF that covers a broader market. For example, what we call the SATRIC Top 40 ETF. It covers the South African top 40 biggest market. By investing into this ETF, you already have the South African economy you already invest in the South African economy basically, right? So I will invest into ETFs like that for 400 Rand. I will look into, for example, maybe 1 or 2, maybe the SATRIC Top 40 ETF or the CoShare Top 50 ETF or the SATRIC's S&P 500 ETF, because it covers a range or a broad market, right? So I'll spend maybe 200 Rand buying 2 of them, buying one that's in the Johannesburg Top 40 and one that's international, or I will spend the whole 400 Rand per month investing into the SATRIC Top 40 ETF, right? So that's how I will first spend the 400 Rand into that 1,000 Rand. Now I am left with 600 Rand. How will I continue using it? In that 600 Rand I was left, I will take 250 Rand. I will invest into the financial and retail market of South Africa. Remember, guys, we're focusing on the JSE, right? So you're not going international that much. If you're going international, you're going through ETF that are listed in the JSE. So I will invest, for example, 250 Rand into the financial and retail market of South Africa. Why, guys? It's because the banks benefit from lending and interest income in South Africa, and the what do you call this thing? The lending and interest income market of South Africa is very huge. A lot of people are into that in South Africa, and banks are making a killing from it. So I want to be there. The financial sector of South Africa is making a killing from it, and they're paying good dividends. And the retail market, your ShopRite specifically, are making huge benefit from them. So I want to be there. When I talk about financial sectors, I'm not talking about only just the banks, but also your discoveries, your insurance companies. They're making a killing in South Africa. So look into spending maybe 250 into those sectors. Maybe I'm buying shares of companies like maybe Standard Bank, ShopRite, and Discover. Maybe those 3, maybe what's 250 Rand, right? Maybe I can say 100 Rand Discover, 100 Rand ShopRite, 50 Rand Standard Bank, right? So that's how I would spend the 250 Rand of the 600 Rand left of my 1,000 Rand. Remember, guys, I had 1,000 Rand. I spent 400 Rand into broader market ETF. When I talk about the SATRIC's Top 40 ETF, that's where I spend the 400 Rand. Now I'm spending 250 Rand, right? And I'm spending it where? I'm spending it in the financial as well as retail markets. I'm buying your ShopRite or Discovery as well as your your banking shares as well, your insurance companies. So that's where I will spend the next 250 rand. So what I'm left with right now, right, which is 350, what I will do is I will take 200 rand and I will invest it into the mining sector of South Africa. Specifically for me, I will pick maybe one mining company I know does well. Your Exaro, your Impala Platinum, or your Anglo Gold Ashanti. One of those three will do it for me because the South African mining industry is so rich, is so amazing. It is volatile, but I won't mind spending 200 every month into maybe one company like Anglo Gold, Ashanti, Exaro, or Impala Platinum, putting 200 a month in those companies. But those companies typically do very well, so I won't mind putting 200 rand there. So now I'm left with 150. How will I spend at 150? The 100 rand, I would spend it into the property market of South Africa. I know people don't like the property market currently, but I want to be there as well. So I'll spend 100 rand there buying what is known as real estate investment trust REITs in the JSE. When we talk about REITs, we're talking about companies like Growth Point. I will invest into maybe specifically Growth Point or Vukile. I will invest 100 rand into a real estate investment trust like Vukile, Green Point, also Growth Point, because I want the benefit of the South African property market. The property market South Africa has a huge rental market space, especially with those two companies I mentioned. They pay up good dividends, and also they see a little bit of growth, not too much, but they see enough growth for me to be happy. The last industry we shall invest into with the 50 rand I'm left with, that was gonna be the South African bond ETF market, because I want to see growth in the government bonds and reduce also volatility, because government bonds reduce volatility and also a little bit of stable, so I want to have that little bit of coverage there. So maybe I'll spend 50 rand buying the new fund government bond ETF in the JSE, investing into it. That's where I will maybe like play safe, be conservative, by 5% conservative. So that's how I will basically spend or spend 1,000 rand a month investing into JSE. Let me recap what I said or repeat what I said. Basically, 400 rand I'll spend into broad market ETF, your Satric Top 40, your one share S&P 500 ETF. I'll spend 400 rand into the financial retail sector of South Africa. So I'll spend 250 rand into the financial retail sector of South Africa, looking into Discovery, your Shoprite, your Standard Bank. I would spend 200 rand into the mining industry, Impala Platinum, your Exaro, or as well as your Anglo Gold, Ashanti. I'll look into investing 200 rand into those companies. I'll spend 100 rand into the property market of South Africa using real estate investment trust, REITs, investing to Growth Point or Vukile, for example. One of those 100 rand per month. The last one will be a bond in the JSE, a bond ETF, by the way, in the JSE. What is a new fund, a bond in the ETF in the JSE, or any other ETF that's listed in the JSE. So basically, how would it look like when I put my entire monthly investment? How will it look like in terms of being diversified? It would look like this. It is 40% will be on broad ETF. It is 25% in the financial and retail sector of South Africa, 20% into the mining sector, 10% into the property sector, 5% into the bond sector. That's how it would look like in general. Key takeaways from the way I structure my monthly investments of this 1,000 rand we are talking about right here is that ETF will be my foundation. It will be my protection, because I will be able to cover a huge broad market, right? Which is 400 rand. I will be able to be covered them. Then I'll add sector leaders. Your banking in South Africa, your insurance, your financial sector, your mining sector. Those are huge sectors, and I'm investing into them. Also the property sector with the rest of the money, and the 5% just comes as a conservative investment into the bond to ensure that I have that little bit of a protection. I know 5% are a lot, but you never know in the future. It can be a lot, especially if you're doing it every single month. So that's how I will do it for myself. Let me know what you think about the way I would invest for 1,000 rand per month in the Johannesburg stock market. Until next time, guys, be safe.